Lina was a quiet girl who lived in a small town. She liked books more than people, and dreams more than noise. But she didn't trust herself yet. Every morning she walked to school with her head down. She felt too small for the world, like nobody would ever notice her silent hopes. Her classmates talked loudly, laughing and shouting. Lina sat in the corner. She felt safe there. But deep inside, she wished she could speak with confidence. She wanted to read stories aloud. She wanted to join class discussions. She wanted to answer questions without fear. But doubt covered her voice like a heavy blanket. When teachers called her name, she felt her heart jump. Her hands shook. Her voice became tiny, even when she knew the answer perfectly. Sometimes students teased her. "Why are you always quiet?" they asked. Lina stayed silent. She didn't know how to explain the storm inside her chest. Her mother tried to help. "Lina, you are stronger than you think," she said gently. Lina smiled, but she didn't believe it yet. One day, her English teacher, Mrs. Hale, announced something new. "This month," she said, "everyone must read a short story aloud in class." Lina felt her stomach twist. Read aloud? In front of everyone? The thought scared her. Her mind whispered, "You can't do it." All week she practiced alone in her room. She read slowly, trying to control her shaking voice. But each attempt made her doubt herself more. Sometimes she cried softly. "Why can't I be brave?" she whispered. She felt trapped inside her silence, like a bird that forgot how to fly. On the morning of presentations, her classroom buzzed with energy. Students practiced loudly. Lina sat quietly, holding her story tight. Mrs. Hale started calling names. "Aaron," she said. "Maria. David." Each student read loudly with excitement. Lina's heart beat faster and faster. When the teacher said, "Lina, your turn," Lina froze. Her feet felt heavy as she walked to the front. Her hands trembled. She opened the paper. The words looked blurry. Her breath felt short. The classroom seemed too big. Her mind whispered, "Everyone is watching you." She read the first sentence. The sound was small. She tried again. Her voice cracked. Someone giggled in the back. Lina felt her face burn. She pushed through the paragraph, but tears filled her eyes. She couldn't continue. "I'm sorry," she whispered, and ran to her seat. The room fell silent. Mrs. Hale approached her gently. "Lina, look at me," she said softly. "You tried. That is the first step of courage." But Lina shook her head. "I failed," she whispered. Everyone saw it. Mrs. Hale placed a warm hand on her shoulder. Courage begins with small cracks. At recess, Lina sat alone behind the school building. She hugged her knees tightly, wishing she could disappear into the bricks. Suddenly, she heard soft footsteps. Mrs. Hale sat beside her. "Lina, I want to show you something," she said, handing her a tiny notebook. The cover said, "For the girl who will learn to believe." Lina opened it. Inside were simple sentences written in soft handwriting. "You are not weak. You are not invisible. You are growing. You are learning. You are becoming someone brave." Lina blinked. "Is this for me?" she asked. "Yes," Mrs. Hale said. "You need to borrow my belief until you find your own." Lina touched the pages gently. Something warm moved inside her heart. A small spark. Not confidence yet, but not fear either. Mrs. Hale continued, "You will read again tomorrow, only to me. No class, just us. And slowly, your voice will grow." Lina nodded. She felt a tiny bit of hope, just enough to start again. That afternoon at home, she practiced softly. She made mistakes. She repeated words. She breathed slowly. She tried again. For the first time, she didn't cry. She didn't feel ashamed. She just tried. She focused on the small spark growing inside her chest. The next day after school, Lina met Mrs. Hale in the empty classroom. Sunlight filled the room gently, making everything feel warm and safe. "Ready?" Mrs. Hale asked. Lina nodded uncertainly. She held the notebook tightly and started reading her story again. This time her voice was still small, but it didn't shake as much. She read slowly, carefully, holding her breath between sentences. When she finished, Mrs. Hale clapped softly. "Lina, that was beautiful," she said. "Not perfect, but brave. And brave is always beautiful." Lina felt her eyes warm again, but this time they weren't sad tears. They were something different, something new. Maybe she could grow stronger. Maybe she could speak louder one day. Maybe she wasn't broken or weak after all. Mrs. Hale smiled. "Tomorrow we read again, and the next day, and the next. We build courage like houses, one brick at a time." Lina nodded slowly. For the first time in her life, she whispered something to herself. "I can try again." The next morning, Lina woke up early. The sun was soft, the air quiet. She whispered to herself, "Today, I will try again." She stood in front of the mirror and read out loud. Her voice was still small, but it sounded a little stronger. She paused, then smiled softly. Her mother noticed. "You're practicing again?" she asked. Lina nodded. "I want to learn to speak." Her mother hugged her gently. "You already started." At school, Lina met Mrs. Hale after classes. She held the book tightly, walked to the front, and began reading. Her hands were shaking, but this time Mrs. Hale smiled wider. "You're not running away anymore," she said. Lina nodded quietly. "I want to be brave even if I'm scared." Every day, Lina practiced. She read slowly, breathed deeply, and tried harder. She made mistakes, corrected them, and kept going. She didn't cry now. One afternoon, Mrs. Hale placed a small mirror on the table. "Read while looking at yourself," she said. "Speak to the girl in the mirror." Lina looked at her reflection. She saw fear, but also something new, a little light. She opened her mouth and read gently, word by word. Her voice felt different, more real, more honest, more alive. It wasn't perfect, but it had truth. Mrs. Hale whispered, "That voice is your real one." Over the next weeks, Lina kept practicing alone, her notebook filled with words of courage. She wrote every day, "I am learning to believe in myself." Some days felt hard. Some days she wanted to quit, but every time those soft words helped her. "You are growing. You are learning. You are becoming brave." One evening, the school announced a speech event. Students could share a short story in English. Lina's class got excited, but Lina felt a chill inside. She whispered, "I could never do that." But her heart whispered something else. What if, just what if, you could? She didn't answer immediately. That night, she sat under her blanket, holding the little notebook from Mrs. Hale. She read the words again. "Borrow my belief until you find your own." She held the notebook to her heart and whispered, "Maybe I can try. Just try. Not win, not be perfect. Just try." At school, she told Mrs. Hale, "I want to join the speech event." Her voice trembled, but her decision felt strong. Mrs. Hale smiled, eyes shining. "Yes," the teacher said softly. "This is your next step. Not your final step. Just your next one." Lina nodded, feeling strangely calm. Over the next days, Lina began writing her speech. It was about silence, courage, and the first small attempts. It felt simple but honest. She practiced every afternoon in the empty classroom with Mrs. Hale. Some days good, some days weak, but every day she continued. One day she asked, "What if people laugh?" Mrs. Hale replied, "Then let them laugh. Your voice is for speaking truth, not for pleasing ears." Lina repeated those words again and again in her mind. My voice is for truth, not for pleasing ears. Her heart felt steadier. The day of the event arrived. Students filled the hall, dressed neatly, voices full of excitement. Lina stood backstage, hands shaking, heart fluttering. She wanted to run. But then she remembered her first try. She remembered her tears, her fear, and her first quiet attempt. She had grown since then. Mrs. Hale stood near her. "Scared?" she asked. Lina nodded. "Good," Mrs. Hale replied gently. "Bravery only appears when fear does. Fear is proof you are ready." Lina took a deep breath. "I'm ready," she whispered. Slowly she walked to the stage. The microphone stood waiting, silent and tall. She looked at the crowd. Her heart beat fast, but she felt stronger than before. Her voice was still small, but her courage was bigger now. She began slowly. "Hello, my name is Lina. For a long time I believed my voice was too small for the world." She paused, waiting for fear. But it didn't stop her this time. She continued. "But someone told me, your voice is for speaking truth, not for pleasing ears." The hall grew silent. No laughter, no whispering, only listening. Lina spoke softly but clearly with her own gentle strength. She finished with a smile. "I am still learning, but today I spoke, and that is enough." She stepped back, heart full, eyes shining, the hall filled with applause, some soft, some loud, but all real. For the first time, Lina felt her voice had truly touched someone. After the event, students approached her. "I feel shy, too," one girl whispered. "Your words helped me." Another said, "You spoke exactly how I feel." Lina realized something important. Her voice, once full of fear, had become a bridge. A small bridge connecting hearts that felt the same. That night she wrote in her notebook, "I used to think speaking was about sound. Now I know it's about heart." Lina smiled as she whispered to herself, "I didn't just speak. I believed." The morning after the speech event, Lina walked to school feeling lighter. The sky seemed brighter. The air felt softer. Something inside her had changed quietly. She no longer walked with her head down. Instead, she looked forward, not with full confidence yet, but with a new, gentle strength. When she entered the classroom, a few students smiled at her. "Good speech yesterday," one said. Lina felt warm. She whispered, "Thank you." Mrs. Hale greeted her with proud eyes. "How do you feel today?" Lina thought for a moment. "Different," she said. "Like my heart opened a window." Her teacher laughed softly. "Yes," she said, "that's how courage feels. Small, quiet, but bright." Lina smiled at the words. They felt true. During English class, something surprising happened. Lina raised her hand, slowly, carefully. Everyone turned to look at her. The room felt silent. Mrs. Hale nodded. "Yes, Lina?" Lina's voice trembled, but she spoke. "I want to answer the question." She gave her answer softly. It wasn't perfect, but it was clear, and it was hers. Mrs. Hale clapped once. "Good," she said. "Very good." Some students looked impressed. Others nodded. The feeling inside Lina grew. Not pride, not excitement. Something deeper, a small belief. At lunch, a girl named Tessa sat beside her. "I liked your speech," she said shyly. "I feel scared, too. Maybe we can practice together?" Lina blinked. Someone wanted to practice with her? She nodded quickly. Yes, she said softly. We can help each other. The next day, they met after school. They chose a quiet corner behind the library and read stories together. Their voices were small, but they grew slowly. They practiced pronunciation, laughed at mistakes, and encouraged each other gently. Lina felt less alone. The world didn't feel as big and scary anymore. As weeks passed, more students joined them. Soon, they had a small reading group. They called it the Quiet Voices Club. Mrs. Hale loved the name. Quiet voices can still make loud change, she said proudly. Lina felt her heart shine. In the club, Lina wasn't the quietest anymore. She even helped younger students speak their first English sentences. She spoke slowly, warmly, with patience. One afternoon, a boy whispered to her, "I want a voice like yours." Lina was surprised. "Like mine?" she asked softly. He nodded. "Your voice is soft but strong. It makes me feel safe." Lina felt tears rise. She never imagined someone would say that about her voice. That night at home, she looked in the mirror again. But this time, she didn't see fear first. She saw someone growing, someone learning, someone trying. Her mother noticed the change, too. "Your eyes are different," she said. Lina smiled. "They feel different," she whispered. One morning, the school announced a bigger event. An English storytelling contest open to all grades. Students talked about it excitedly. Tessa asked Lina, "Are you going to join?" Lina hesitated. "I don't know. It feels big." Tessa smiled. "Everything big starts as small." That sentence stayed with Lina all day. She wrote it in her notebook. Everything big starts as small. She stared at the words for a long time. After thinking deeply, she whispered, "Maybe this is my next step." She told Mrs. Hale quietly, "I want to try the contest." Her teacher nodded gently. "You don't need to win," she said. "You only need to grow." Lina breathed in slowly. "Yes," she said. "I want to grow." She began working on her new story. It was about a girl who found her courage slowly, the way sunrise arrives, soft at first, then brighter. She wrote every day, practicing each line. Some sentences felt hard, some flowed easily. But she didn't give up. She kept shaping her story. During practice, her voice cracked sometimes, but she didn't run. She stopped, breathed, and continued. Her fear became smaller each time. The Quiet Voices Club helped her too. They sat in a circle, listening carefully. When she finished, they clapped softly. "Your story feels real," Tessa said. Lina smiled shyly. "Because it is," she whispered. She didn't hide anymore. Her truth became her strength. As the contest day approached, Lina felt nervous again. But this nervousness felt different. Not heavy like before, but sharp and alive. She whispered to herself every night, "Believe in yourself, even when the world doubts you." The words felt softer each time, like a warm blanket. On the morning of the contest, Lina wore her favorite blue sweater. It made her feel safe, like a tiny shield she carried with her. In the school hall, students sat in rows. Judges sat at the front. The microphone stood tall, waiting for each voice. Lina's heart pounded. She closed her eyes and breathed slowly. "Fear means I'm ready," she whispered. "Courage will walk with me." When her name was called, she stepped onto the stage. The lights felt bright, but she didn't look down. She looked forward. She began speaking. Her voice was quiet but steady. Each word came from her heart. The hall listened silently, like they could feel her truth. She talked about fear, doubt, and small beginnings. She talked about learning to breathe, learning to speak, learning to believe. Her final sentence was simple. Courage grows when you let yourself try. She smiled softly and lowered the microphone. The hall erupted in applause. Some students stood. Some wiped tears. Lina felt light, lighter than she had ever felt before. She didn't know if she won. She didn't care. Something inside her had changed forever. She had spoken her truth, and the world listened. When she returned to her seat, Tessa hugged her tightly. "You were amazing," she whispered. Lina smiled. "I felt brave," she said. Mrs. Hale squeezed her hand. "You didn't just speak," she said softly. "You shined." Lina's heart filled with quiet, warm light. That night, Lina wrote one sentence in her notebook. "Believing in myself feels like sunlight." The next week began softly. Lina felt different walking into school. The sky felt wider. Her steps felt lighter. Something inside her had opened like a small flower. Students smiled at her in the hallway. Some waved shyly. Others whispered, "Your story was beautiful." Lina felt warm, almost glowing from the inside. Tessa walked beside her. "Do you realize?" she asked. "Your voice helped people." Lina lowered her eyes. "I just spoke," she said. "But maybe it mattered." Mrs. Hale greeted her with a proud smile. "You carry courage into the room," she said. "Courage always lights the darkest corners." Lina held those words tightly. During English class, the students practiced short speeches. Lina listened closely, giving kind advice. "Speak slowly," she said. "Breathe gently. The words will follow." Her classmates trusted her. They asked for help. They valued her gentle guidance. Lina realized she was becoming someone strong, not loud, but steady. At lunch, the Quiet Voices Club met again. The group had grown. New students joined, shy and nervous. They looked at Lina like she was hope. She greeted them softly. "Welcome," she said. "We learn slowly here. We make mistakes. We try again. That's our rule." They nodded with relief. One tiny girl whispered, "I want to speak one sentence today." Lina kneeled beside her. "One sentence is brave," she said warmly. "Let's do it together." The girl spoke softly. Everyone clapped gently. The girl smiled shyly. Lina felt her heart expand. Helping others made her courage grow even more. After school, Lina and Mrs. Hale sat in the empty classroom. Sunlight warmed the desks. "Lina," Mrs. Hale said, "I have something important for you." She gave Lina a new small notebook. The cover read, "For the girl who is learning to shine." Lina's heart softened instantly. "You don't need my belief anymore," Mrs. Hale said gently. "Now you must build your own." Lina hugged the notebook to her chest. At home, Lina opened the new notebook. The first page had one sentence written by Mrs. Hale. "You are becoming someone courageous." She touched the words softly and whispered, "I want to believe this." Then she wrote beneath it, "I will keep trying." The next morning, during assembly, the principal made an announcement. "We will create a student leadership group," he said. "We need students with empathy and courage." Students gasped. It was a big opportunity. Tessa nudged Lina. "You should join," she whispered. Lina shook her head quickly. "I'm still too small." But Tessa insisted. "Courage doesn't mean perfect," she said. "It means trying, even when scared." Lina knew she was right, but fear wrapped around her again. That night, Lina stood in front of the mirror. She whispered, "Believe in yourself." But her voice trembled. Self-doubt returned like a shadow. She opened the new notebook and reread the message. "You are becoming someone courageous." She repeated it again and again, letting the words sink deep. Slowly, she felt a small flame inside her chest, a quiet, warm flame that said, Apply. Just apply. She breathed deeply and whispered, "Okay." The next day, she submitted her name for the leadership group. Her hands shook as she handed the form to the principal. But she didn't pull back. In the afternoon, Mrs. Hale found her standing near the hallway. "I heard you applied," she said softly. Lina nodded nervously. "I don't know if I can do it." Mrs. Hale smiled gently. "You don't need to be sure," she said. "Just willing." That sentence became another brick in Lina's growing confidence. For the next 2 weeks, the principal observed students secretly, how they behaved, how they helped others, how they faced challenges. Lina didn't try to impress anyone. She simply continued being herself. Quiet, patient, kind. She helped a younger boy find his classroom. She comforted a girl who felt embarrassed reading aloud. One day, she found a student crying behind the library. Lina sat beside her and listened quietly. Sometimes listening is braver than speaking. The girl smiled afterward. When the principal watched from a distance, he noticed the gentle strength in her actions. Strength that didn't shout, but guided. At the end of the month, the chosen students were announced. Everyone gathered in the hall. Lina stood with her heart pounding again. The principal began reading names. Eli, Mira, Jason, Tessa. Lina squeezed her hands tightly. "Please," she whispered quietly. "Let me grow." Then the principal said the name she never expected. "Lina Hale." The hall burst into applause. Lina froze in surprise. Tessa hugged her tightly. "You did it," she whispered. Lina didn't speak. She was too shocked, too overwhelmed, too full of something bright and new. The principal smiled at Lina. "You show quiet courage," he said, "and quiet courage is powerful." Lina bowed her head respectfully. Later that afternoon, Lina met Mrs. Hale in the classroom. "Look at you," the teacher said softly. "You are blooming." Lina's eyes filled with warm tears. "I didn't think I could," she whispered, but you believed in me." Mrs. Hale shook her head gently. "I believed in the seed," she said, but you grew yourself." That night, Lina wrote in her notebook, "Courage doesn't arrive suddenly, it grows in small steps." She stared at the sentence for a long time. Then she whispered, "I will keep growing, even when I'm scared." The next day, leadership training began. Lina listened carefully, taking notes, practicing small speeches, guiding her group with kindness. She wasn't the loudest leader, but she was steady. She understood fear. She understood doubt. And she helped others rise from those shadows. By the end of the week, a student said to her, "You make me feel brave." Lina felt her heart soften again. "Because I understand," she replied. Every day she felt her belief in herself growing stronger, not huge, not perfect, just steady, gentle, real. And deep inside, she whispered the same quiet promise. "Even when the world doubts me, I will believe in myself." Months passed, and Lina continued growing quietly. She didn't become the loudest speaker. She didn't become the boldest leader. But she became something else. Steadily, beautifully, confidently herself. Her classmates trusted her. Younger students followed her. Teachers saw her as a bridge, soft, but strong enough to carry others across their fear. She didn't fix people's problems. She listened. She encouraged. She reminded them gently, "Small steps are still steps." Her words felt like medicine. One afternoon, the principal called her to the office. "There's a regional student conference next month," he said. "We need one student to represent our school. We choose you." Lina's heart skipped. "Me?" she whispered. The principal nodded. Not because you're perfect, he said. Because you're real. And real courage speaks to hearts. Lina felt nervous, but she didn't run. She simply asked, "May I try my best?" The principal smiled. "That is exactly why we chose you." At home that evening, she looked at herself in the mirror. She didn't see a silent girl anymore. She saw someone learning, someone teaching, someone growing. She opened her notebook and wrote, "I am not fearless. I am learning to carry my fear gently." The next weeks were filled with preparation. But this time, Lina didn't practice alone. The Quiet Voices Club helped her every day. They listened to her speech. They shared ideas. They reminded her of her own strength whenever she forgot. Courage had become shared. Mrs. Hale helped too. "Don't try to sound perfect," she said gently. "Try to sound honest. Honesty always reaches farther than perfection." Lina nodded. She knew it was true. She remembered her first speech, the small, shaky one that still touched hearts because it was real. The day of the conference arrived. The hall was huge. Students from 10 different schools sat in perfect rows. Lina felt small again, like before. But this time, she didn't let fear control her. She took a deep breath and whispered, "I have been here before. I know how to grow." When her turn came, she walked slowly to the stage. Thousands of eyes watched. Her heart beat fast. But she felt something else, too. She felt strong. She began speaking gently. "I used to think silence meant weakness. But I learned something. Silence is sometimes where true strength begins." The hall quieted. Even teachers leaned forward. Her voice wasn't loud, but it was steady, honest, and kind. She continued, "I didn't find courage all at once. I found it in small moments, in trying again, in believing even when I felt unsure." She talked about listening, about small steps, about quiet courage. She didn't try to impress. She simply spoke her truth. When she finished, there was no loud cheer. Instead, there was silence. Deep, full, peaceful silence. The kind that means people are truly listening. Then, slowly, everyone stood and clapped. Some clapped softly. Some clapped loudly. Some clapped with tears in their eyes. All clapped with respect. Lina felt warmth spread through her whole body, not because she won something, but because she had shared something real. After the event, a student from another school approached her. "Your voice feels gentle," he said. "But it changed something in me." Lina smiled softly. "We all have gentle voices," she said. "Sometimes they just need a little courage to come out." Back at school, everyone congratulated her. The principal said, "You didn't just represent the school. You represented every quiet student who thinks they are too small." Mrs. Hale hugged her and whispered, "You are the lesson now." Lina's eyes softened with tears. That evening, Lina walked home alone under a soft pink sky. She felt peaceful, strong, and humble. She whispered, "I am still learning, but I am not afraid to learn." At home, she opened her notebook again. She wrote slowly, "Believing in yourself doesn't mean never doubting. It means not letting doubt stop your light." Weeks passed gently. Lina continued speaking at small school events. She helped teachers design programs for shy students. She became a mentor to others. One morning, a new girl named Sarah joined school. She sat alone, quiet, eyes down. Lina recognized the look instantly. At lunch, Lina sat beside her and asked softly, "Do you like stories?" Sarah nodded slowly. Lina smiled. "Then we already share something." Sarah began joining the Quiet Voices Club. She read one sentence, then one paragraph, then one full page. Lina watched her grow. One day, Sarah whispered, "I'm scared people will laugh at me." Lina replied gently, "They might, but their laughter can't break your growth if you keep believing." Sarah smiled, holding on to those words. That evening, Lina wrote in her notebook, "Belief travels. It moves from heart to heart." Her belief had once been borrowed from Mrs. Hale. Now she was lending belief to others, slowly, gently, beautifully. And that, she realized, was the true meaning of believing in yourself. Not just for yourself, but for others too. Seasons changed. Trees grew taller, students grew braver, and Lina continued carrying her gentle courage through every hallway, every classroom, every small moment. She didn't become famous. She didn't become the loudest speaker in school. But she became something far more powerful, someone who believed in herself. One morning, the principal announced a new program, Peer Mentors. Students who could guide younger learners with patience and kindness would be selected. Everyone already knew who would be chosen first. When the principal said Lina Hale, the entire hall applauded softly. Lina bowed her head, feeling grateful and humbled. She didn't see herself as perfect. She didn't see herself as special. She simply saw herself as someone still learning and still trying. Her first mentee was a shy boy named Rowan. He spoke so quietly that even whispers sounded loud beside him. Lina sat beside him in their first session. "You don't need to speak loudly," she said gently. "Just speak honestly." Rowan nodded slowly. Over the next weeks, they practiced tiny sentences. Some days he succeeded, some days he cried. Lina understood both. She encouraged him the same way she once needed encouragement. "Small steps," she always said. "Small steps make big futures." One afternoon, Rowan whispered his first full paragraph. Lina clapped softly. "You did that," she said. Rowan smiled for the first time. That night, Lina realized something important. Her belief didn't just lift her, it lifted others. And that was the most beautiful part. Months later, a school celebration was held for student achievements. Parents filled the hall. Students waited nervously for awards. When Lina's name was called, she walked to the stage slowly, holding her breath. The award read, "For inspiring courage in quiet hearts." She stood still, shocked, not for winning, but for the words. She had once been the quiet heart. Now she inspired them. Tessa hugged her afterward. "You earned it," she said. Lina shook her head. "I only tried," she whispered. "Trying is earning," Tessa replied. After the event, Mrs. Hale called Lina aside. "You have grown into someone I always knew you could be," she said softly. Lina felt tears rise. "I'm still scared sometimes," she whispered. Mrs. Hale smiled. "So am I. Courage is not the end of fear. It is the friend of fear." Those words stayed with Lina. She wrote them immediately in her notebook. Courage is the friend of fear. Over time, Lina became a calm guide in school. Teachers trusted her. Students followed her example. Quiet children felt safe with her. Even loud, confident students respected her. They often asked, "How did you become so strong?" Lina always answered the same way. "I wasn't always strong. I just didn't stop trying." Years passed slowly. Lina entered high school, carrying her soft courage with her. The hallways were bigger, noisier, more challenging. But she didn't shrink this time. She walked with steady steps, her notebook still in her bag, filled with words that shaped her life. She joined the high school storytelling program. She helped organize events. She continued mentoring younger students. Teachers praised her. "You lead with gentleness," they said. and gentle leadership lasts longer. One day, a new teacher asked her to speak at the school assembly. "We want students to hear your journey," he said. Lina felt nervous again, but she knew what to do. She breathed softly. She touched her notebook, and she whispered, "Believe in yourself." At the assembly, she stepped up to the microphone. Hundreds of students watched her. She felt her heart beat fast, but she smiled. She began, "I used to hide my voice. I thought it was too small, but a teacher told me something that changed everything." She paused softly. She said that courage grows in small steps, and she was right. Students listened closely. Some smiled, some felt tears rising. Many saw themselves in her story. She continued, "Believing in yourself doesn't mean you never doubt. It means you keep trying, even when doubt walks beside you." Lina finished with gentle words. "You don't need to be loud to be brave. You just need to begin." The hall filled with calm applause, the kind filled with respect. Lina stepped down, feeling proud, grateful, and peaceful. After the assembly, a little girl approached her shyly. "I'm scared to speak," she whispered. "Can you help me?" Lina kneeled and held the girl's hands gently. "Yes," she said. "We will learn together." That night, Lina wrote her final lesson in her notebook. Belief is not a shout. It is a whisper that stays. She closed the notebook slowly. Her heart felt warm, full, and steady. She smiled softly at her reflection. Lina wasn't the girl she once was. She wasn't silent, scared, or hidden. She was growing, leading, helping. She believed in herself, fully, quietly, beautifully. And she whispered one final promise to herself. No matter what happens next, I will keep believing.